guys, and welcome back to my channel. I know guess has been a consistent queen. I posted last week and now I'm posting this week. What? So I am doing a very requested video today, and if you follow me on Instagram you already know what this is, and if you read the title of this video obviously you've seen what this is. But I am going to be doing my how to bulk video. I'm going to be telling you guys how to bulk, giving you your calorie and macro recommendations, and just basically telling you guys mistakes I made during my bulk so you don't have to. Now, I have been on 2 bulks myself. I am not an extremely experienced person, I just want to put that out there now, but I have personally learned so much. And even since my last bulk, I thought I knew everything at that time, but I have learned so much more again, and I really want to tell you guys the mistakes I made. So before we get into the video, I do just want to say a lot of this information I'm giving you is from the Muscle and Strength Pyramid by Eric Helms, Andy Morgan and Andrea Valdez. I think that's how you say that. But this book is so helpful and I have gone through most of it already. I've added notes and stuff, and I have learned so much from this book, and they're all trusty people. They're people in the fitness community and I trust them 100%. So a lot of this information I am giving you today has come from this book. I do also want to add, if I am looking down a lot, I do have my laptop and I've written like so many notes on here, and there's calculations I've done on here, so I will be looking down at my laptop. So I'm sorry if that annoys you, but I've got to do it, okay guys, because I do have the memory of a fish, okay? So before we get into the whole shebang of things, I want to address my most asked question, and that is, can you gain muscle whilst losing fat? While it is definitely possible, trying to do both simultaneously is not the best approach to achieving these goals. Someone who is ranked a beginner or returning to detraining after a long period of time will probably be able to do this quite well, as they have a low threshold for adaptation. Although if you're not someone like that, then it's probably not going to be the best decision for you, and you're probably better off going for a bulk than a cut, which is why I'm assuming you're here today. Okay, so I'm just gonna go straight into how to find your maintenance calories. We need your maintenance calories to find out your surplus. So there are 2 ways that the Muscle and Strength Pyramid recommend you do this. The one way involves you tracking for 2 weeks, tracking your weight and tracking your food intake. Yeah, so the first way involves you tracking your food intake and weighing every day for 2 weeks, which is kind of a long process, and I am just going to tell you the quicker and easier way, so you can just get your notepad and pen and write it down right now, and you can obviously make adjustments after it's done, but we'll get on to that in a minute. So to start, you want to take your body weight in kilograms and multiply that by 22. Once you have that number, you are then going to multiply it by an activity multiplier that will be on the screen somewhere. I am going to actually use myself as an example, but I'm saying this right now. Do not copy my calories or macros or any intake of mine, because I will be different to you and you will be sabotaging yourself if you follow mine, okay? So do not follow me. We all have different requirements. It's all different for everyone. So for my example, that would be 72.2 kilograms times 22. And that would be 1,588 calories. So these are my baseline sort of calories. So the calories I basically need to survive. Then you want to take your activity into account, because if someone is more active than someone else, they are going to need more fuel to fuel their everyday lives basically. For example, if someone had a hard job, you would need more food. If someone was, say, a builder, you're obviously on your feet all day walking around picking things up, you will need more calories and more food in your body, more fuel. So on the activity multiplier, I'm going to go for active with 3 to 6 days of weightlifting, and I'm going to go on the lower end of the scale, because even though I am quite an active person, I am not that active in the sense of outside the gym. So then we're going to take our baseline calories. So for me, there's 1588.4, and times that by your activity multiplier. For me, that'll be 1.7, and that would equal 2,700 calories for me to maintain. So this is the easiest approach. If you lose or gain weight after 2 to 3 weeks too quickly, then adjust your intake. So people always ask, how do you gain muscle the fastest way? And often, if you search her up, you probably see you just eat a ton of food, eat a ton of calories, and whilst this will result in muscle gain, it will also result in an unnecessary amount of fat gain. This is one big mistake I made on my second bulk. On my first bulk, I was in a smaller surplus. I barely gained any fat at all. However, on my second most recent bulk, I was in a high surplus. I was eating like 500 calories over my surplus, maybe more sometimes, and yeah, I just gained quite a lot of fat, and it was so unnecessary, and I didn't need to do that. If you are new to lifting, in your first year or so, a big bulk can be productive, I guess, and fun if you are also enjoying the newbie gains, you lucky thing. Although once this phase of your journey is over, this will become counterproductive. Oh. I'm trying to do a video still. Right, I have to move over because someone wants to come and say hi. Hi Storm, thanks for disturbing my video. Really appreciate it. Now I'm going to get back into it, okay? Love you. So as I was saying, once the initial newbie gains are over and you're in your intermediate stage of training, this will just become counterproductive, as you will gain too much fat too quickly, which will make you have to cut your bulk short to get rid of the very unnecessary fat gain. So I'm just going to read something off my screen a minute, which is actually from this book again. In a 12-week study comparing rates of weight gain in resistance-trained athletes, found that the group that consumed a small surplus gained the same amount of muscle and strength, but only 1/5 the body fat as the group that consumed an additional 600 calories. So as you can see, sometimes people go into these big surpluses when they don't need to, and you are just going to be gaining fat that you don't need to gain. Although, like I said, a big bulk can be productive, and that doesn't mean there's never a time to gain relatively quickly. This is determined by how long you've been lifting weights and how much of your muscular potential you have realised up until this point. So to establish the different weights of weight gain that might be suitable to you, I'm going to put a table on the screen again from the Muscle and Strength Pyramid book with the appropriate rates of weight gain. So a beginner will be able to progress in most training loads in the gym on a week-to-week basis. An intermediate will be able to progress most training loads in the gym on a month-to-month basis. And an advanced trainer, progress is evident only when reviewed over multiple months or a year. For an intermediate lifter, weight gain will slow down a bit because you are closer to your genetic potential of muscle mass. Again, let's use my example. So my maintenance is 2,700 calories and I would consider myself an intermediate lifter. So let's take 0.5 to 1% of my body weight. So that would be 0.36 to 0.72 kilograms I would be looking to gain per month. Now we want to look at how many calories are in that. So there are 5,401 calories in 0.7 kg, which is on the higher end of the scale. So if we were to divide that by a 4-week month, that is 1,350 calorie surplus a week. and a 192 calorie surplus a day. Now I know what you're thinking, that number seems so small. When I was first like reading this book and doing all this, I was thinking, what, is that right? I had to recheck my calculations and everything, but that is right. That's all you need to be in a surplus. Well, obviously your number will be different, but that's all I would need, and that to me is insane. So you don't need to just add 500 calories into your maintenance and just go on a big shebang bulk like that, because like I said, if anything, that's going to be counterproductive. And doing it this way, having a look at what your appropriate rate of weight gain is for your level and stuff like that, you are going to gain minimal fat, which, let's be honest, we all want that. At the advanced level, it would be a very small surplus, although I doubt if you're advanced you're going to be watching this video anyway. But your main focus would be progressive overload and recovery in the gym. A slight surplus is all that is needed. Now we're going to go on to macros. So calories are made up of 3 different macronutrients, and that is carbs, fat and protein. Now there's often big misconceptions about carbs and fat especially, but I'm here to tell you that they're not bad and you can eat them. One mistake I made on my bulk was over consuming protein, which I'll talk a bit more about in a minute and why that was a mistake. So here's some things I just want you guys to know. So protein's primary goal is to build and repair the structure of our tissues. Carbs are our main source of energy. So if you have a high activity level, you basically need them or you might pass out. Fat is a source of essential fatty acids, which the body cannot make itself. So like I just said, it's essential. I want you to know that a gram of protein and a gram of carbs has 4 calories and a gram of fat has 9 calories. This is important. So in the Muscle and Strength Pyramid book, they recommend that you calculate protein relative to body weight with fat and carbs based on percentage of calories. So for protein, in the gaining phase, you are going to be wanting to look at consuming 1.6 to 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. Your protein is more important being higher when you are restricting calories and when you are leaner, as your body uses it more. But when you are gaining, you don't need that much protein. Well, as you would cutting down. So basically, your protein intake should be higher when you're cutting down rather than higher when you're gaining. So like I said earlier, one of my mistakes in my bulks was consuming too much protein. And now you might be wondering, how would that affect you? Basically, if you get too sedated on a bulk, so basically if you're feeling too full, like you can't eat any more, you should be eating less protein, because protein is, to put in simple terms, is filling. Anything with protein in, it will fill you up. So when you are on a bulk, you don't want to be consuming loads of protein because you will struggle to get all your food in. Where say when you're cutting down, when you're in a fat loss phase, protein will be good to eat more of because you are filling your body up more, so you're gonna feel less hungry. So if you are someone who does get full easy and you struggle to eat a lot on your bulk, then use the lower end of the scale, so like 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight. Seeming as gaining allows us to have more calories to play with, and we don't have to worry about carb being low to sustain our training. We can have a high percentage of our calories coming from fat. So let's go into the recommendations for fat and carbs or whatever. Again, I am literally going to be looking at the screen. So for fat, you're going to want to consume 20 to 30% of your total calories. You can go up to 40% if a higher fat over carbs works better for the individual, although it is not likely that this will happen. Then you're going to want to assign the remaining calories as carbs. So let's just go over our macros again. I will use myself as an example, but again, don't copy mine or you're just going to self-sabotage yourself. So if our calories say are 200. So if our calories are 2,892, So protein would be 2.0. So say if I'm going to choose 2 grams of protein per kg of body weight, so that would be 2 grams of protein times 72.2 kilograms. That would be 144.4 grams of protein. Then, as we know now, there are 4 calories in a gram of protein. So you are going to want to take your 144.4 grams of protein and times that by 4. But obviously again, that won't be your number, so whatever number you get, times it by 4. So I come out with 577.6 calories. Now for fat, I went with 25%, which is 723 calories. So basically, you're going to take the calories that you have, so 2,892 for me, and you were going to take 25% of that, or whatever you choose to do. So for me, that would equal 723 calories, and then I'm going to divide that by 9, because a gram of fat is 9 calories. So that would be 80.3 grams of fat. Okay, so now you've got that, you're going to want to add your fat and protein together. So for me, that would equal 1,300.6 calories. So now your carbs are going to be the remaining calories. So the easiest way to do this is to get your calories and take away your fat and protein. And for me, that would equal 1,591.4 calories. Then I'm going to divide that by 4, because again, 1 gram of carbs equals 4 calories, and that would be 396.85 grams of carbs. Now I do want to point out, if your numbers are a bit off, that's okay. No one's diet is going to be 100%. No one's diet is going to be perfect, okay guys? Keep that in mind. Okay, so now you have your macros hopefully written down. Hopefully I went to consuming. Oh guys, I can't even deal with myself. Confusing. Yeah, so now I'm going to just touch over tracking a little bit. So when you are starting out, tracking basically helps you understand how your habits compare to general portion sizes, see what foods are dominant in which macros, gain awareness of mindless eating, observe the effect that your eating habits have in your body, and teaches you how to structure a basic diet for health and performance. Now, I couldn't memorize that, so I had to read off the screen, guys, okay? Don't judge me. Now, I do want to say, tracking your food is not for everyone, and you don't have to do it. If you're not an athlete, you're not a professional, if you were doing it to improve your lifestyle, improve your physique, you don't necessarily have to track. And I know for a lot of people, especially people who have suffered with EDs or any type of eating disorder, that it can be very triggering. I personally do intuitive eating. So what I mean by intuitive eating is basically trusting my body to tell me when and how much to eat, leaning towards being more full when you are gaining can make all the difference and put you in that slight surplus you need to be in. Whereas in contrast, if you were cutting down, then I would try to be in a bit more hungry. So I wouldn't be starving obviously, but I would try to be a bit more hungrier at the end of my meals, and that would put me in a little deficit that I need to be in. So intuitive eating works for me and is a good way because you're just eating mindfully as well. Of course, I don't track my protein, fat or carbs or any of that, but I eat mindfully. So if I know I need more protein in my meals, I'll say have chicken or something like that. A meal I love to have that's got a good amount of everything I need. I normally have chicken breast, potatoes that I make myself, and peas, and that's got a good amount of everything. But I know what I personally need. I know what I need more of sometimes, so I eat mindfully. But if you are a beginner, or you are someone who's going through a fat loss phase or a gaining phase, then tracking at the start might be a good idea for you if you are not an athlete or anything, because it will give you a good idea of how much you should be eating, what your meals should look like, and what you need more of. You may also come across times in your life where you might find tracking will be helpful for you. For example, if you hit a plateau and you can't figure out why, look at your eating habits, because quite often that is the problem. Whilst we are touching the subject of all this, I do want to add there is no such thing as bad foods. I love chocolate, alright? I practically have chocolate every single day, and I always want it, and I never restrict myself from having it. By allowing yourself to diet while consuming a wider range of foods, which might include treats in moderation, will help you feel more normal for a start. You'll have more flexibility, less restriction, and ultimately more long-term adherence. I can't say that. Adherence. You know what I mean? And success, which is what we want, because we want to have this as a long-term thing. Well, not gaining in particular, but we want to be good, mindful of our eating as a long-term sort of thing. We don't want to restrict forever. You want to have what you want to have at the end of the day, and by restricting those foods, you are not doing yourself a favour, because you are just going to end up binging it. Because that's what I done when I went through a phase of my journey and I was restricting myself a lot and quite badly, and I would just end up binging so much because of it and just eating loads of it in one go, and then it was all for nothing really. So I have learned that if you just feed those cravings in a moderation, then you are not going to continue craving them, and then eventually all add up, and then you go yum yum yum, all gone, and you've just had 2 days worth of chocolate in one go. Okay guys, we're finally done with the nutrition side of things. Oh, I'm getting tired doing this. Things I do for you guys. So now we are going to touch on training. So when you are training to gain muscle, I recommend resistance training at least 3 to 4 times a week. I would personally recommend going into a training split. Split training allows time for a more intense workout of a body area, with days for recovery before that area is worked out again. A split routine will let you train those muscles more intensely. So you are basically going to get better results, because, for example, you don't want to be training full body 4 or 5 times a week, because you are not allowing yourself recovery for a start, and recovery is important, and you are not allowing different parts of your body, like muscles, to grow more effectively in a way. Because think about it, if you have a day dedicated to legs, you are going to hit those legs like hell. Whereas if you had done a full body day, you'd probably touch on your legs, you know, do a little bit of legs, you'd still hit them, but you wouldn't hit them as good. So therefore, when you are doing a day just for legs, you are getting more intensity on those legs, which will result in more muscle gain eventually. The reason why it's important for rest and recovery: without recovery, your muscles won't grow. So when you are training, your muscle tears basically, and in order for it to grow, that tear needs to fix itself. So whilst you are resting, that tear fixes itself, and then when you go back to the gym, your muscle has grown that little tiny bit more, and that literally continually happens over time. So my current split is personally chest, shoulders and triceps, back and biceps, 2 glute focused legs, and a cardio day. If you do want to see my full training routine, my last week's video was a full week of workouts, so you can go and watch that. But I do also have 1 cardio day, and one thing I do want to note: just because you're bulking doesn't mean you can't do cardio. I feel like cardio is very important for your cardiovascular health, and you shouldn't be neglecting it on your bulk. That's another mistake I made. on my last book, I stopped doing cardio altogether, and I am paying for it because I used to be able to run 5k in under 25 minutes, and now I'm struggling to even run it at all, so I'm annoyed about that. But yeah, you don't want to neglect your cardiovascular fitness, so keep that in mind. I feel like people just tend to associate cardio with weight loss, and while it is effective for weight loss, you should still be doing it on your books, because at the end of the day, your health is the most important thing. You need a healthy heart, girl, okay? You can't live without your heart. When you are resistance training, I want you to focus on your basic compound lift. You don't need to do 12 to 15 exercises to have a good workout. In fact, say if you've done like a 4-5 exercise workout, 3-4 compound movements, 1 isolation, and you took your time, you were really slow and controlled, the reps were nice, moving nicely, and you just basically weren't rushing your exercise, that is going to be a more effective workout than rushing through a 12 to 15 exercise workout. Literally don't need to do 12 to 15 exercises. I don't know why I still see people doing this. I'm like, girl, stop that. You just stick to your basics and work on progressing on those. As a personal guideline, I like to do 2 to 4 compound lifts, including a unilateral movement, which is basically a single leg movement, and 1 to 2 isolation exercises. You are going to be wanting to train in the hypertrophy range. So the hypertrophy range is the muscle gain range, basically. So that is 3 to 4 sets, 6 to 12 reps, 60 seconds to 90 seconds rest. The rest time is a guideline, and sometimes I do take more rest. For example, if I am doing 4 sets of 6 to 8, I feel like I need more rest for that because I am lifting a heavier load. So ideally, the lower your reps are, the higher your weight should be. And I also want to say, if your rep is 6 to 8, you should be struggling to hit those 8 reps. It shouldn't be easy. You shouldn't be getting up there and thinking, oh, let's go again. You should be struggling, and then you should be thinking, damn, I gotta go again. You know what I mean? But yeah, you need to push yourself. You can do so much more than you think. You are stronger than you think. Tell yourself when you are doing your sets, instead of thinking, oh, I'm gonna do like this many more reps, think in your head, oh, I can do 10 reps. I'm going to do 10 reps. And when you get to 8 reps and you really don't feel like you can push out 1 more rep, think, I'm going to do another 2 reps, and you'll do it. Okay, that's the mindset we want to have. You are going to want to stick to the same routine for 4 to 8 weeks, doing the same exercises, same order, same reps, same set. Once you feel like your routine is starting to get easier, switch it up. You don't need to make drastic changes. Even just changing your like sets and rep counts. So for example, if you were doing 3 sets of 8 to 10 hip thrusts, change that to 4 sets of 6 to 8 on your next phase of training. It literally makes all the difference. Finally, I want to touch on progressive overload. So progressive overload when you are gaining muscle is absolutely essential. Each week you should be progressing. You should be progressing the weight, progressing your rep. If you're hitting those reps easy, add more weight. I'm just going to list you some examples of progressive overload that I've written down. So you can increase your weight, increase time and attention, so do slower reps. You can decrease your rest time to make the exercise more intense, increase in reps or sets, and there's so many other little things you can do to progressive overload, but they are the main ones. So in summary for the training, switch up your routine every 4 to 8 weeks. Stick to your basic lifts. You don't need to do a whole bunch of 12 to 15 exercises. You only realistically need like 4 to 6 exercises. Progressive overload, look at progressing your weight, time and attention, whatever, each week. And I promise you, if you listen to all the advice I have given you in this video, you are going to see the best gains of your life without gaining too much fat. So yeah, if you want minimal fat gain, then I highly recommend you listen to me. But guys, I think that's the end of this video. How long have I been sat here? I don't know, I didn't track the time before I started, but god damn it, girl! I don't know. I feel tired doing all that. But you know what? I want to educate you, and I want you to get the best results you can, because I want you to feel amazing. I want you to feel strong, and I just want you to be the best version of yourself. So if you found today's video helpful, please give me a thumbs up, because I would appreciate it so much, and a subscribe if you feel like it, you know. Again, I really recommend you buy this book. I have literally learned the most I've ever learned from this book, and I've done my level 2 and level 3 gym PT courses, and I'm currently doing my level 4 nutrition, and I have not learned barely anything compared to what I've learned in this little book. And them courses take a long time to do, and there's so much on there, and I have learned more from this. So just put it into words, amazing. They also have a training one. I'm gonna get that next, so hopefully I can give you guys even more information, share even more info. But yeah, the majority of my information today came from that book when it comes to like calorie recommendations and stuff. But again, if you want to see my last video, it was my full week of workouts. You can click the link in my bio, or it'll probably be on the end screen at the end of this video. But that's it from me today. I hope you guys enjoyed, and yeah, I will see you in my next video. Bye!